We're back here with another video, and today we'll be talking about how I, as an 18-year-old student in college, is investing in the market, and the different types of portfolios that I'm opening up, why I'm opening up the portfolios I am opening up, and when I'm investing, what specific stocks, the big companies, the small companies, the ETFs, where I'm putting my stocks in the specific type of portfolios, and why I'm doing it, and why it will make me, hopefully, the most amount of money possible. And yourself as well. I want you guys to see, my journey throughout this, and this is kind of the start of, of kind of it all. So the first type of portfolio that you want to start when you're opening up, and you're getting into this, market world is your self-investment portfolio, right? This is going to be, your regular portfolio. You can buy, sell stocks, you can sell stocks. Obviously, you get when you sell stock, you're getting taxed on the stock based on your income. And, this is kind of, a very versatile type of, you need to be eyeing this portfolio at all times, right? You need to have your eye on it because probably not in the next 5 years, but definitely in the next 10 years, you might begin to start taking out money as a young investor. Obviously, the market moves, the market has reactions, the market has, there's obviously news all around, presidencies, right? Trump, government, so many factors in the market, and that will impact your stocks. So, in your self-investment portfolio, you're going to want to have specific stocks. You're going to want to, obviously, I've talked a lot, that's kind of my main main point of my channel is talking about different stocks. I made a video about your diversity of stocks, you're not just investing in AI, not just investing in consumer products like Target, Walmart, groceries, etc. Instead, kind of broadening your investment portfolio. That's what I'm talking about in this portfolio, right? You want to have a good amount of AI. Maybe you want to have a good amount of cybersecurity. Maybe you want to have, maybe you do want to have your consumer products. Maybe you want to have, your finance. Maybe you're investing in JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, those types of companies, right? Maybe you want to invest in the Robinhoods, Celsius I'm looking at. All these different types of stocks is the ones that you're going to want to focus on in this portfolio. And those stocks obviously go up and down a lot more rapidly than, let's say, the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ, which, if you don't know, the S&P 500 is the best 500 stocks. At NASDAQ, the top tech companies. Now, in this self-investment portfolio, obviously, you're looking more at a high risk, high reward situation, but, investing in the right stocks and investing at the right time will make you profitable in the market and in these types of, in this portfolio. Now, let's get into your next portfolio. The second portfolio you're going to have is your Roth IRA. Roth IRA, if you don't know what it is an investment portfolio where when you invest money into the market, you pay tax on it. So you're paying tax if you're buying, let's say you're buying Coke, and the Coke stock's at $10, maybe because, you're taxing your income right now. If you're, at a young age, like I am myself, not making too much money, have a side hustle as a server. I'm working as a server, so, obviously I get taxed because I'm a server. So if I bought the stock 10, I get taxed maybe a little bit. Maybe I get taxed, let's just put it in perspective, $2, because I don't make too much money as a server right now, as this is kind of like side hustle for me. I put that money into stocks. I put that money into Coke. Right? On Roth IRA, I cannot take it until I'm 60 years old. Right? It's kind of more of a retirement fund type of situation. Once I put it, once I reach 60 and I take it out, most likely Coca-Cola, whatever stock I invested in, multiplies, let's say by 5, let's say by 3, goes up to 30. I take it out at 30, tax free. Right? Big money can be made here when you're young and you don't, pay taxes, right? You don't really have much to, get taxed on because you don't have much income right now. So this is the golden age to invest in a Roth IRA and to start your Roth IRA. Right? And this is directly to your, to your retirement fund, where when you take it out, it's not going to be as much as you're going to be making then, where you have, a real job, I guess, and, a bigger income. And that, once you take that out, it'll be tax free. In the the first portfolio you should open up, you will get taxed when you take out, when you want to sell stocks. Now, when you're looking at a Roth IRA, you're not looking at stocks as much, right? Obviously, I'm going to make a video on, the specifics of what percentages my Roth IRA, what my Roth IRA is going to look like in terms of, the types of ETFs I'm investing in. I'll make that video next, but I wanted to kind of share, the two main portfolios and the kind of starting bases that you should have as an investor in the market. Now, your Roth IRA, it's going to be mostly ETFs, right? More than 50% of it should be ETFs. Why? Because, you're not taking this, you're not taking this money out until you're 60. And, I'm 20 years, technically, 18, very young. Maybe you're 21 or less. And you're not going to be taking out this money for 40 years. So you need, you can't just have, stocks go up and down all the time. Not as much, obviously stocks move a lot more than the NASDAQ and S&P 500. Maybe not now because the S&P 500 has been moving like a cryptocurrency, but obviously it's still moving less than, obviously the S&P 500 is moving less than NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is down 6%, I believe, today. And as we're recording this video, it's Thursday, April 10th. S&P is down, I believe, 2.5%. So, obviously, there's different growth. Now, when NVIDIA goes up 10%, S&P is going up 2.5%. So that's the long term, right? We're looking at 500 of the best stocks in the world, and those are the type of companies that the NASDAQ as well. The top companies, multiple companies and multiple stocks are the type of ETFs that you want to look for when you're building a Roth IRA, because you're obviously not putting all your eggs in a basket, and in the long term it's very sustainable and profitable for 40 years. Now, obviously with the Roth IRA, you're not really you're not really looking at it as much. You're kind of just building up percentages that that you decide. I'll talk about that in my next video. But, kind of building the percentages of, maybe you have international ETFs, maybe you have the U.S. markets, tech companies, maybe the Russell 2000, where Russell 2000 is, the low market caps companies that, obviously it's 2000, the lowest market cap companies that, go when, reach a lower, when market is in recession, market is down, it goes a little, makes it's worse because, obviously low market cap companies, it's hard for them to compete when the market is down as compared to, big top 500 companies where, they have a lot more market cap, a lot more profitable. So they can, kind of bounce back from the market drops. And you want to diversify that portfolio as well. You want to have, you don't want to have everything in the U.S. markets, because you want to have a different piece of, international, maybe low, low market cap companies that, grow over time. You want to have, obviously, like the NASDAQ, you want to have 10 companies. So you want to also diversify your ETFs as well as you're diversifying your stocks. Now, you might be asking, why not just, the why, right? Why would I have two different portfolios? Why can't I just have a Roth IRA where I have, it's sitting there, it's tax-free when I take it out, and it's when I'm 60, that's when I want to take out the money I have in stocks, And I don't need to look at it, right? I don't have to sell until, obviously I'm retired, and, I'm looking at, basically just the S&P 500, which shows up, basically everywhere on the news all the time. Why not just do that? And to those people, I say, yeah, that's okay. Some people aren't as engaged in the market, although you will be more profitable making another account where you have individual stocks, because the market, certain stocks and certain, as the Mag 7, the Googles, the Apples, Nvidias, etc., like all the biggest, like big stocks that obviously you're getting in the S&P 500, individual stocks move a lot, more. They move a lot more higher. They go down more and they move up higher. And eventually, when you're looking at stocks that, like I've talked about, like maybe a Palantir, or maybe an Nvidia, or maybe a Google, or maybe an Apple, or maybe an Amazon, maybe an Uber, all these companies, the stocks that I talk about on the daily that, most likely will be in your first self-investment portfolio, those stocks will, be more profitable than an S&P 500. Maybe it'll reach the same amount that it will in 20 years than, S&P in 30 or 25, right? Who knows? Maybe a Tesla. So you want to have a good balance of it all, right? You want to have, the whole market, right? Because at the end of the day, when you start investing this young into the market and you start investing in so many sectors, you won't even have to worry about the fact that the European, or, that all tech companies are down, because, maybe you have the S&P 500, or maybe you have the Russell 2000 that has the low income that isn't really related to the AI. Maybe the international is down. The market is down for the international, but, you have money saved in the U.S. and you have individual stocks in the U.S. It'll diversify your portfolio by having two, and you will be, obviously you will be more profitable at the end of the day. And that's all I can tell you. That's what I will be doing. That's what I believe that you guys should do. It's one of the ways that I will, people, I guess you will be more profitable in a way than just investing into the Roth IRA. But obviously you need to be engaged in the market. Obviously I try my best to, kind of tell you guys the news every time, and kind of keep you updated in the market, because, obviously I'm a young person, so, and I know that I'm not really into, most of my people my age aren't really into the news and don't, really read into it as much every day. And it's important, especially when you have money invested in the market. It's important to know what's happening. It's important to know, why it's happening. And it's important to know when to invest in stocks and when not to. Well, mostly, what I preach on my channel is my self-investment portfolio, where I'm investing in, the Nvidias. I told you guys, invested in Palantir, Taiwan Semiconductor, Google, Amazon, all of my self-investment portfolio, where I can take out that money when, I want to buy a house or want to have a down payment on a car. And I can take that, I can keep building off of that. In both of these portfolios, you're going to want to continue to, put your money, right? Try to have a monthly kind of saved to go into these accounts so that you can, progressively build both of these portfolios up, right? You're more investing in your future with the self-investment, and you're more so investing in your retirement with the Roth IRA. I believe they're two critical portfolios to have, and that's the way I'm investing as an 18-year-old in 2025. And next video, I'll be talking about percentages on how I'm specifically investing my Roth IRA in, and what percentage of the U.S. market to have, what percentage of tech companies to have, what percentages of the international, and dividend stocks as well. and maybe even throw in the 2%, 1%, 3% of a stock or a specific stock that you like, that you really believe in will be profitable for 4 years. So that'll be my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of my 2 kind of portfolio investments. And yeah, see you guys in the next one.